So I want to start with a question. If someone you cared about died and their number texted you, would you answer? Not an old message, not a reminder, not a scheduled post. I mean, your phone lights up right now and it's them. That's the idea that started the book that I wrote, Last Seen Online. And it was one of those ideas that sounded simple at first, and then the more I sat with it, the worse it got. Worse in a good way, like the more I sat with it, the more unsettling it became, the more real it became, and the more emotional it became the longer I thought about it. So today I want to talk about why I wrote this book, what I was trying to capture, and why the story is built the way it is. If you're new here, I'm Dan Williams. I'm a Vermont author, soon-to-be chemistry teacher, and I write stories that live in the space where normal life gets twisted just enough to make you question that if it happens to you, what do you do? And Last Seen Online is basically that. The first spark wasn't a character, it was actually a plot twist. It was the feeling of a notification. That tiny moment where you hear the buzz or see the screen light up and your brain decides what it means before you even touch your phone. Now take that feeling and tie it to grief. Because grief is weird. It's not logical. It doesn't care that something's impossible. It just wants relief. It wants one more conversation, one more chance, one more moment where you can pretend that things aren't permanent. And I kept thinking about how much of us lives inside of our phones. All the little pieces. The way we talk, our jokes, our habits, who we text when we're stressed, the photos that we never post on Facebook or Instagram, the things that we search at 2 a.m. in the morning and would never talk about out loud. We leave a trail online every single day without even thinking about it. So the question became, what if something could use that information? What if it could imitate someone well enough to fool the people who loved them? And even worse, what if it didn't need to fool anybody? What if it only needed to fool you? I want to be really clear about something up front. This is not a story of someone going missing. It's a story about someone who dies. Eden, the character who does die, didn't disappear, because if she vanished, this becomes more of a track the person down type of story. It becomes a mystery you can solve, a type of chase where you can still tell yourself there's a way to solve it. But death doesn't work like that. When someone dies, you don't get a clean ending. You don't get closure that actually feels like closure. You get what's left behind. You get the group chat that no one wants to delete. You get the contact in your phone that you can't bring yourself to delete or remove. You get the photos that feel like a punch in the throat when they show up in your memories. That's the emotional core of this book. It's not just who's doing this, it's why does this hurt so much? And what would I do if I thought I could get them back for just one more moment? And in the book, Last Seen Online, that feeling gets exploited. That's where it turns from sad to scary. This story is set in a small town for a reason. If you've ever lived in a small town, you know the rules of a small town. Nobody writes them down, but everybody follows them. People know your family. They remember what happened to you in middle school. They know who you used to date. They know who your friends are, and they have opinions about every part of your life. Rumors move really quickly in a small town because they really don't have anywhere to go. So they just bounce around and get sharper. And in a place like that, privacy is fragile. If something starts happening to you, it doesn't stay contained. You can't just disappear into a crowd like you can in a big city and reset your life. And that's the pressure I wanted to convey in this story. Last Seen Online isn't just about a creepy message someone receives. It's about what happens when a friend group starts cracking under stress. And everybody is keeping a secret, and now there's a spotlight on them. And setting this in the winter adds to that as well. Winter makes everything quieter. Snow muffles sound. It's darker in winter. Winter makes it feel like the whole world is holding its breath. Snow is beautiful, but it also isolates you. It turns a town into a little sealed container where everything is closer and louder, even when it looks empty. I wanted the setting to feel like that. One thing I didn't want to do with this novel is make the text feel like magic. If the concept is going to creep you out, it needs to have some closeness to reality. We already live with algorithms that know what we're going to do next, watch next, buy next, even eat next. And sometimes even what we'll believe. And every day we train those systems just by existing online. So the idea behind Echo in this story isn't evil robot or sci-fi supercomputer. It's more like a mirror built out of someone's life. or someone's digital life. A thing that can speak in their style. A thing that can pull the right details from online information. A thing that knows how to press on the right emotional buttons. And that's what makes it dangerous. Not because it's loud, but because it's watching you. It's convincing you. And I think that, in general, that's what scares me most about technology these days. Not the big dramatic stuff, but the more quiet stuff. Kind of the way something can sound so familiar that you stop questioning it and actually believe it. When I was actually writing this, I kept coming back to the thought, or feeling, I should say, about how it feels when your phone lights up and your stomach drops. Not because you're worried about a monster, more because you're worried about yourself. Because you know you're about to do something you shouldn't do. You're about to answer, you're about to engage, you're about to chase the impossible. And even if your brain is screaming, this isn't real, something inside of you says it doesn't care. That's the tension I wanted. A story where the scary thing isn't just what's happening to them, but what they choose to do next and how that choice spirals. I also really wanted the friend group dynamic to feel messy in a real way, like how all of our friend groups feel. Teenagers aren't clean little archetypes. They're messy. They're intense. They're loyal. They're cruel sometimes, even when they don't mean to be. They're trying to survive school, family stuff, puberty, relationships, and expectations. And then you throw grief and fear into all of that, and it becomes pretty volatile. That is what the heart of Last Seen Online is. I'm making this video because I know people like to see the why behind a book. And I also know that this concept on its own can sound just like a simple hook. But it's not just the hook. It's a story about grief. It's a story about secrets. It's a story about what people do when they're scared and cornered. And it's a story about how technology can turn something very private into something very public very quickly. If any of that sounds like something you'd be interested to read, I've got something for you. You can get the first 5 chapters of Last Seen Online absolutely free by subscribing to my mailing list on my website, www.danwilliamsnovels.com. The link is in the description. And if you end up liking the book, the best way to support it is honestly super simple. Tell one friend, leave a review, post a picture of it. Anything like that helps. And I'll end with the question that I started with. If you got a text from someone who died, what would you do? Do you reply? Do you block the number? Do you show someone? Do you prefer you never saw it? Drop it in the comments. I read them, and I'm actually really curious about what people would do. Alright, so thanks for hanging out with me. Link is below if you want the free chapters. I have a Facebook, an Instagram, a TikTok, and obviously a YouTube because you're here. You can follow and subscribe to all of those. Links are in my channel and down below. Thank you for watching.